Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Authors to Know and Their Books to Read. I'm your host, Martinique Brown. I'm so excited that you guys have decided to tune into the show today. I'm really excited about our author here on the show. His name is David Sledge II, and he's actually going to be talking to us about his book called Thank You, Grandma. I'm really excited to hear more about his book because I didn't even have any grandparents. And so I just think it's such a blessing to have your grandparent in your life. And then for an African American to be writing a children's book about their grandparent, I'm really excited to hear why he decided to do this and just more about the book. Now, if this is your first time ever tuning into one of my shows, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. One of the things that we would love for you to do is go ahead and share this video now so that more people will know about David as well as his book. Also, so they'll know more about authors to know and their books to read. If, like I said, if this is your first time ever tuning into the show, you're going to hear me a lot throughout the show just referencing that description box. You know why? Because that actually has all of David's contact information. So you don't have to do any Google search or anything like that. If you want to purchase his book, just go to the description box and right there next to the dollar sign, that's actually where you will find the link to his website to purchase the book. And you might hear David's story and you say, man, I just want to follow him on social media. His contact information is listed right there in the description box as well. So David, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a blessing to be here.
Great, great, great. So David, tell the viewers just a little bit more about yourself and how long you've actually been a published author.
Yeah, so I grew up in Yokosuka, Japan. That's where I graduated high school.
Mhm.
From there, I went on to play college football. My whole life, I've been known as an athlete, and I wanted to do something different, to put a positive message in the world, and that's when I got on the path of being an author. Never thought that was something that I would do. At first, it was just for fun, um,
Yeah.
and then my grandma passed away, so I wanted to do something to basically tribute to her, and that's when the project Thank You Grandma came up. And I've only been an author, well, a self-published author for the last 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. This is like a fresh newbie, y'all.
It is. It is.
That is so good. So now you can put the author in your title of your name and everything. That is so excellent. So now I see that you told us that you did spend some time in Japan. What led you there and how was that experience like for you?
So my dad's in the U.S. Navy. He's been in there for 30 plus years, and
Okay.
that's what led us to moving to Yokosuka from Jacksonville, Florida. And then it was honestly the experience was great. Like I met a lot of lifelong friends,
Mhm.
played sports overseas. I got to travel to different countries like Korea, Okinawa, the Middle East, and it was like I said, it was a great experience, and I definitely wouldn't trade it for the world.
That's good. So now I also have Sinclair Horton. He said, Dave. And then David Sledge, your dad, he said he's proud of you, son. That's so nice. So the crazy thing is when I have authors on here and sometimes like they're able to multitask, I was like, how in the world is David reacting to his own video? He's not even moving his arms. He
No, I'm a
is
junior.
right. Right, right. So was it just ninth grade to 12th grade that you spent in Japan?
Yeah, so I spent the end of my ninth grade year in Japan, and then I graduated 12th grade in Japan. But my parents stayed for extra 4 years. So during
Wow.
Christmas break and the summer breaks, I would go back home and visit.
Say that part again. For Christmas breaks. Oh, so you be calling Japan home.
Yeah, yeah. To me, that is home.
Got you.
That is
Okay,
home.
okay, okay. So who did you grow up with? You know, after well, I guess when you went directly to college after high school then, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. And so you came to Central Florida. No, you went. What school did you go to? Graduate
So,
from?
so I went to three different universities. I started off at Methodist University in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and then I went
Mm-hmm.
to Lenore Ryan University in Hickory, North Carolina, and
Mm-hmm.
then I went off and I graduated at the University of West Florida.
Oh, okay. Because I do remember seeing Florida. I was like, hey, okay. Because I'm in here. I'm in Orlando.
Okay,
Um, but now you're on the West Coast. So what state are you in now?
so I'm in California now.
Okay, okay. So you just be all over. Are you finished? Like, do you feel like California is where you gonna call home now?
It's not. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna move until I can't move no more.
Well, if you ever want to experience a great city and stay in the States, go to New Orleans. Now you might not want to move there. I love the city. I
Okay.
lived there for 4.5 years, and that's where I say I'm going to eventually retire to. But I'm telling you, that might be a place you want to consider.
Yeah,
No pressure.
I partied in New Orleans. It's a good time.
I love it. So,
It's a good time.
can you walk us through your book? Thank you, Grandma.
So basically, the whole book is about my experiences with my grandmother. So it starts
Okay.
with me being a young boy to me becoming an adult, and I think that I believe the last page is actually me graduating college, and my
Oh
grandmother was
wow.
alive for that, and she was able to basically celebrate that with me in Pensacola, and so it goes from me being a young boy to an adult, and I basically wrote the book uh, off of my experiences, but I wanted to relate it to other people.
Mhm. And how do you feel like you related it to other people?
I know from being from the South, my roots are from the South. I know a lot of times as a man, we're really big on our mothers and our grandmothers. And
Okay.
I basically wanted to put that experience with the love that my grandmother showed me and the love and experiences that I showed my grandmother. I wanted to put that in a book so people could relate to it. So in one of the pages, I talk about peach cobbler and sweet potato pie, and I feel like
Mhm.
everybody from the South can relate to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with that though, I guess I'm more so thinking about, is it just you and your grandmother just going in everyday life, or is it like sometimes when you went to go visit your grandmother, just the experiences that we will be able to also experience with you if we were to read your book?
So it's the experiences that we had. So
Hmm.
like I said, I grew up in different places, but when we were able to go see my grandmother, we spent a lot of time doing different things. So she seen me play sports, supported me in school. Uh, she every time we would come down there, she would cook for me, and
Mm.
basically and take us to Sunday school. And through those experiences, I felt like other people could relate to it as well because I know, especially in the Black community, church and faith is a big thing.
Yeah, definitely. So now, what age range would you say that Thank You Grandma is for?
Well, honestly, I'm gonna say for everybody, uh,
Uh-huh.
but to be honest, I would say 6 to 8 years old.
Hmm. And what do you hope that they gain from reading that book?
Basically, what I hope they gain from the book is just enjoying the moment with your grandmother, enjoying the love and experiences that you gain from her. Because a lot of times, and I know I can only speak for myself, but I thought my grandmother was gonna live forever, and
Hmm.
she passed away at 69, and
Oh, she was young.
she was young, and just basically telling kids to soak everything in. Your grandmothers have so much knowledge and so many things that they can show and teach you, and
Hmm.
just being there to listen and building that experience, I think is very important, and that's what I want to hopefully share that message to young people and pretty much anybody that still has their grandmother.
That's so true. That's so true. So now, shout out to Christy Fitzgerald. She said, "Keep being amazing, David. We're super proud of you." Also, we have Tamara White in the house. She said, proud of you, Dave. And Jaron Sledge, proud of you, little brother, typing here. Proud and in complete awe of you, mans. And then, so your mom, she like, look, honey, let me use a computer right quick. She said, love, mom. It says, David Sledge.
That's my mama.
I love it. She's like, okay, scooch over a little bit.
Yep.
So we also have Angelica Camarina. Congratulations on all your accomplishments. How exciting. This sounds great. It is great, Angelica. Make sure everybody that I just shouted out, as well as Anna Lindbergh, make sure that you guys go ahead and share this video now so more people can know about David and his book. Thank you, Grandma. Also, if you have any questions or comments for David, make sure that you come on over to Everything Authors, as well as Martinique Y. Brown page, and then I will be able to relay those questions and comments to David as well. So let me ask you something. What are your thoughts about kids like me that did not have a grandparent? You know, how could this book help us to value, you know, the elderly individuals that's in our life?
So basically, I know a lot of people that have their grandparents in their lives, and even though the book is about grandparents, really one of the messages that I want to get across people is valuing basically every relationship that you have with a person, because like we're seeing with COVID-19, life is short, and sometimes, you know, we put things off to tomorrow, and you know, I got tomorrow, I'll just do it tomorrow, or I'll call that person tomorrow. But sometimes it doesn't happen like that. And I just want everybody to realize, like, you know, stop and realize, even though we're busy, that, you know, enjoy the people that you do have in your life. So whether that's, you know, your mother, your father, an uncle, a great uncle, or great grandma, you know, just enjoy them. Just enjoy the experience, enjoy that time, because that's really what life is about.
That is so true. So now, what actually made you and your grandmother's bond so strong that it really just compelled you to write a book? Because she didn't raise you, you just visited her, you know, sometimes. So like, what really just made you guys' relationship so strong like that?
So like even when I was in Japan and growing up, and then when I went on to college, like she always used to call and check on me, like just out of the blue. And you know, when you're in college and, you know, you're playing sports or you're partying or going to school, you know, sometimes you don't want to be bothered, and or sometimes, you know, you're just tired. And she would just call, and we would just have conversations about life. And to me, that was always something that even from a small boy, that, you know, something that I thought was so powerful. Like, this lady will always take time to basically just check on me and see how I was doing, and she will always instill lessons in me. And I, you know, when she passed away, it was very hard for me because, you know, she came to my graduation, and that was honestly the last time I seen her. Or she came to the graduation, and then I seen her in November of that year in 2016, and that was the last time I seen her for Thanksgiving. And then I went on and moved to the Middle East. I was in the Middle East for almost 2 years. So when she passed,
Wow.
I was in a whole different country, and I wasn't able to build more memories after 2016 and go see her before she passed. So that definitely was something that was hard for me.
So now, are we able to really see the character and personality of your grandmother, Miss Sledge, in the book?
So basically, in the book, it's more so from my point of view, but there is a few tidbits in there of like of how a grandmother would be, especially like on Sundays, going to Sunday school. Like, you know, it's never no questions asked. You got to get up, like. So it's different things like that. But basically, like I said, it's more so from my point of view and how she shaped things for me.
So now let me ask you something, because I know that you have grandparents out here that want to have a very strong relationship with their grandkids. And they are even intentional about calling their grandkids. but it's not like the conversation goes both ways. It's more so like the grandparent is just always asking the child question. And then once the grandparent is done asking questions, then the conversation is over. How do you build a relationship with a child like that, that, really just doesn't have any interest in building a relationship with you?
Just like with anything in life, I feel like you can only control what you can control. So if you put that energy out there and you're trying to build that relationship, that's all. I mean, that's all really you can ask for. I mean, at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, just like with friendships and relationships, you can't make anybody want to talk to you. You can only, like I said, you can only control what you can control. And I would keep telling the grandparent, keep putting that energy out there and keep trying, because a lot of times as grandkids we falter off. Like it's so many distractions and so many
Mm-hmm.
things that we go through, and sometimes we forget that we had this person in our corner, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's too late to try to tread back, and sometimes it's not. But I would definitely say for a grandparent to keep trying. Like, that's all you really can do.
Mm-hmm. So now, what type of grandson were you? Because I know that you actually mentioned there were times when you was like, "Man, I just don't feel like talking." Were you just that type of grandchild where you was just like, "Okay, she's calling, and I'm going to pick up," or was it just like short conversation, like, "Grandma, I can't talk right now. I gotta go." What type of conversation did you guys have? Because I don't know you personally, but are you a talkative person? Are you just the type of person that's like, okay, ask me the question and I'll answer it? Or did you at that young age, did you know how to have a conversation back and forth like that?
Yes, ma'am. So I was very blessed to grow up in a household where my parents allowed us to build our communication skills. And, I guess my friends and family would say I'm very talkative. I'm a social butterfly,
Okay.
like
Uh-huh.
my father. And, I'm always trying to meet somebody or talk to somebody. But
Mm-hmm.
I was the grandkid. Basically, when my grandmother called, I stopped everything, because even
Oh,
from a
that's
young
good.
age, I know that life is short. And I knew that life is short. So sometimes, even though you don't want to talk, you stop the things that you're doing to have those conversations, because you never know if it's going to end. And like I said, life is short, and I feel like people need to appreciate and enjoy what they do have, because when it's gone, it's gone.
Definitely. That is so true. How does, and just looking back at the way that your parents did this, how does the parents have a more intentional role in making or allowing a relationship between the grandkids and the grandparent like form and work?
That's a good question. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that is a really good question. I
And let
think
me and while you're thinking about it, I'm gonna just let you like know a little bit like why I'm asking that question. Because a lot of times your child don't want to do things they may not enjoy. So especially a kid, they don't think about calling their grandparent, on their birthday. But a lot of times that parent has to enforce it, like, make sure you call your grandparent. Did you call your grandparent? You know what I'm saying? On these special days. So they have to be a lot more intentional in the building of that relationship when that maybe that child is of an age where they can just start doing things like, or at least caring about building, continuing that relationship. But I just want to hear like your thoughts on how you saw your parents being more intentional about that relationship forming between you two.
I definitely agree with you. I think that parents, their role is to, because as a kid, you don't a lot of times realize like they're not going to always be there. You know, I should talk to them and everything. You just
Mm-hmm.
living life. You want to go outside, play with your friends. You play sports, whatever you're into. But in my experience, my parents were intentional, and we would, instead of going hanging out with our friends, when we came home to the States or we went to Alabama or Virginia, we was hanging out with our grandparents. They
Mm-hmm.
on holidays, and even to this day, they still make us. They don't make us, but they remind us to call our grandparents and, just have those conversations, because at the end of the day, it really only takes 2 minutes to have a conversation with somebody and, make them feel good. And, sometimes, like I said earlier, we get lost in our world, but, sometimes you just got to stop, put the brakes on, and build those conversations. But like you said, it should be intentional. And then once a kid becomes a certain age, then it becomes most times a natural relationship. And that's what it was with all my grandparents, really, because honestly, I can definitely say they're my best friends. And I do have I have a granddad that actually looks like Marvin Gaye. So he's he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude, Grandpa Hill. Definitely a cool dude. So, we always chop it up and everything. So, like I said, all my grandparents are special. I just happened to write a book about my grandmother, Marie Sledge, because she passed away.
Oh, okay, okay. So now, looking at you being, older, we'll act like, you in college and things like that. What do you feel like the benefit of grandkids being intentional about building relationships with their grandparents and vice versa?
I mean, honestly, because you learn so much from your grandparents. Like, there's so much history. And if you don't talk to them, you will never know. Because a lot of times, your parents going to have a certain relationship with your grandparents that a lot of times I'm realizing the grandkids have a totally different relationship. Life is a little bit sweeter because, grandparents at a certain age, they're not as mean anymore. Everything is cool. So I really feel like having that relationship and being intentional, you learn so much. And I learned so much like through my grandmother about our family, about like we had Native American roots, or, we were from Mississippi and different things like that. And just talking to her about her childhood and about how she picked cotton and different things that I never, I never had to experience, or even like during the civil rights movement. And, like for me personally, building that relationship, like I said, you learn so much. And I think that's the greatest thing about that you can learn something from that person, and you can eventually keep them alive, keep their spirit alive by sharing that to your kids.
And I think one of the sad realities of it at times is because we have this generational gap at times, because we think that that older individual is so out of touch with reality, when in reality it really just recycles. Like, everything is a cycle.
It does.
And nothing is new under the sun, to the
Yep.
So,
that is true.
You
that is
experience
true.
what? Oh my gosh. Because I actually have an older aunt, and she shared some things with me, and I was like, Auntie, I don't think I want to hear this, but okay. But I definitely agree with you when you're saying that you can just learn so much from them about, I think it just makes you a lot more appreciative of where we are right now as a younger generation, and our responsibility to them to exceed any expectations, because it's like they paved the way so much for us and struggled and, just had so many hard times so we can be in a position we are now. And, for us not to take advantage of that, shame on us,
I agree.
So there's a lot of books out there that actually teaches kids, the importance of building relationships with our family members. Why should parents add this book to their library?
I think parents should add this book to their library because it's genuine. It's written by a young Black author, and basically it's through experiences of a grandson. And I feel like it's another book that you can add to your library. And even during my research, I noticed there wasn't a lot of books tailored to grandparents, and or let me say Black grandparents. And basically that's another reason that I wanted to create a book because about grandparents or grandmothers because I wanted to put that out there and basically start a whole different lane. And I want to inspire somebody, and hopefully we just keep the wave of appreciating our grandparents and our grandmothers going. Because I like I said, I really feel like that's very important, very important. Our grandparents, they're for a lot of us, they're passing away, they're getting older, and that's an experience that you know you won't be able to get back because it's so much rich history. And I wanted to put that in the book, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people can relate to, and I feel like it's a positive message, and that's really what I wanted to do. There's so much negativity in the world, and I wanted to put something out there that'll be positive for young Black kids or kids in general. But
But why do you think there's not a lot of books out there about Black grandparents? What's your thoughts about that?
I mean, everybody's experience is totally different. At the end of the day, yeah, like I said, everybody's experience with their grandparents or their parents is totally different. But from my experience and from what I've seen, I really don't think there's a lot of books for kids that's written by us. Even during my research, I've seen a lot of books that were written by, white people or, Hispanic people about Black kids. And, there's nothing wrong with that. But to be able to get a book from an experience of an African American person, I think is priceless, because that's something that a kid can relate to. A lot of times we all go through some of the same struggles, but I don't really know why there's not too many books out there that's written by us. But hopefully through my book and my experience and just meeting people, we can continue to create books and continue to create a positive message for kids.
Yeah, definitely. So did you ever think about going a different route for your first book? Like still remembering your grandmother, but maybe just making it a a biography of her life or anything like that?
Not really. Through my personality, I'm a goofy, childish person, not in a negative way, but I love cartoons, and
Okay.
I wanted to create a book with pictures and colors to basically symbolize her personality. Like I said, she was a great person. Like I never met somebody that was like that. Like she just had a great personality, and that's what taught me, or that's what rubbed off on me. But yeah, for me personally, I knew I wanted to write a kids book. I just didn't know how I wanted to go about it.
Yeah.
But once I started writing, like everything just came easy.
And say your grandmother's name again for me.
Marie Sledge.
Marie Sledge. Now, how would you describe her? Because I know you say she has a great personality, but what made her personality so great?
She was just a bubbly person, like full of love. Like she would give the shirt off her back, even when she didn't have anything. Like she would make sure everybody else was good. And like a lot of life, like I said, I learned a lot of life lessons for her. And one of the biggest things that she would always teach us was get an education. Coming from the South, a lot of grandparents dropped out to help out with the families and different things like that. But between her and my grandfather, they were very educated. And that's why I believe education is beyond the classroom. But, her personality was just like, I don't know, she just was great, like goofy. We could sit down and just laugh. Like she loved holiday movies. So when we would come during the Christmas break, she'll have the Hallmark channel on, and we would just sit down, and I'd just laugh. I'm like, Grandma, this is corny. But like,
Yeah.
but she,
Shout out to Hallmark.
she just loved the holidays, and she, like I said, she always had a smile on her face, even when she was tired and she was going through things. She had a smile on her face, and she was probably the most spiritual lady that I ever met. If you go in her house to this day, she has prayers for pretty much everybody in my family, my dad, me, like prayers that she's written out and put on papers on the wall.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's always, as a kid, I was like, man, my grandma always praying for me. You know, you don't appreciate it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as you get older, you know, you need it. Like, you need some type of faith base out here because the world is tough. And that's one thing that I will always remember. Like, to this day, you can go in the house and there's prayers everywhere. And, you know, that's definitely something special. And she, like I said, she was a great lady. And I wanted to tribute something to her.
That's good. So now I know that you was telling us that she taught you a lot of life lessons in general, and you did mention education. What's a couple of other life lessons that a young person would actually learn by reading your book?
Basically, be a blessing to others. I stated in the front of the front of the book, before you even get to the pictures, just be a blessing to others. That's something that she taught me. You know, you want to live your life by basically making it easier for somebody else, and that's one of the Christian values that she taught us. But I definitely believe that. You know, I feel like we're on this earth to make things easier for that next person. What else? Like I said, education, just, and then dreaming.
Mm,
You know, setting a goal, no matter how big or how crazy it seems, and sticking to it. And that's basically what I wanted to do with this book. I never written a book before. Like I said, I'm a first time author. Even in school, I didn't take English serious. My
mhm.
teachers, even in college, used to get mad at me because like I was so good at writing papers and all that stuff, but I was just lazy. But you know, but she always taught us to dream big, and you know, anything that I do, I can achieve it. I just have to put that work in, and
Yeah.
that's one thing that I want kids to hopefully get out of this book. Like, you can do anything you put your mind to. Like, I'm a kid from Japan. Like, you know, I've been so many different places, and like seen so many different things, and you can achieve everything you put your mind to. Like, you just have to believe, and that's the biggest thing. Put your best foot forward and you can achieve it.
That's good. That's a good message right there. So now, do you have any upcoming projects or books that you're currently working on? I know you only 2 weeks deep, but you know we like, okay, Dave, you get one more week for this, and now you get another book. But do you have any other upcoming projects or books that you're working on that you would like to share with us, or would you rather reveal it to us later?
Oh no, I'll go ahead and share. The type of person I am, I'm always working. I
Hmm.
always got something going. My mind is always going. So basically, what I want to do with the Thank You Grandma book, I want to turn it into Spanish. So I'm working now to try to get that going, and it's going to
Hmm.
be basically a limited edition book. I thought it would be
Mm,
a good idea because I'm in California, and
mm,
you know, it's between English and Spanish, and you know, I wanted to reach a broader audience.
yeah.
And I definitely feel like I can do that with turning the book into Spanish. And then I'm also working on getting Thank You Grandma t-shirts. My biggest
Mm,
goal for the rest of the year is to make this a movement. I
okay.
want basically everybody to, or anybody to, hop on board and you know, show love and appreciation to grandmothers. You know, then we'll do Thank You Grandma, then turn it into, you know, Thank You Grandpa, whatever the
Hmm.
case is.
Hmm.
But I just want people to appreciate what they have.
That's good. That's good. So now, you know, you all have heard so much about David's book. Thank you, Grandma. Make sure you click on that link that's next to the dollar sign because he's just giving us a tidbit about the book, but you can actually read the book summary on the website as well. Also, you want to follow him on social media so that when the Spanish translation is released, you may know somebody that speaks Spanish, and maybe they can relate to that version of the book a little bit better, and maybe you want to let them know about it or even purchase it for them. But you always want to stay in the loop of what's going on with David to help him with this movement that he's trying to do as well. So what has writing and publishing your book actually taught you about yourself?
Uh Honestly, I mean, this may be cliche, but like, I could do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Uh 2016 was a hard year for me, and at that year, I kind of kind of stopped believing in myself and my abilities. And this whole project has honestly made me realize that, because my grandma used to always say, like, you're blessed and highly favored. And I'm really starting to believe that. And
Yeah.
this whole project has made me like start believing in myself again. And that's something that I want to pass on to the next person. Because we go through so many things in life, so many trials and tribulations, and sometimes you do stop believing in yourself, and that's okay. Nothing's wrong with that, but you also want to bounce back, and I want to help people bounce back. And if you want to be a musician, if you want to be a TV personality or whatever the case it is, dream big, and you can achieve it with hard
Mm-hmm.
work and dedication. That's the biggest thing. But I really want people to believe in themselves, and that's really, like I said, what the book did for me, and I'm totally blessed.
That's really good. So, I was just thinking about the Spanish translation that you'll be writing for the book, and I just think that that is really mindful of you. That regardless of the color that we are, especially Hispanics are very family oriented, and so
Yeah.
they would definitely be able to relate to this book as well. So, what are some things that you would actually do differently or the same if you decided to write another book? And I love to ask this question just because I know you've learned so much just about the process in general.
I don't know. Do a little more research on the company that I go through for
Mm,
self-publishing. They're not a bad company, but just figuring out what other companies are out there, and basically getting a bang for my buck. But everything else I probably wouldn't change, because I feel like in life, the things you go through is a learning experience. So the things I learned with this process and this book, I can take and either do for my next book or don't do. And so everything else I probably wouldn't change, and I'm good with everything.
So now many authors are actually selling their books on Amazon. Why did you decide not to go that route?
Money. No, so being a self-published author is it can be very expensive.
Mhm.
And my plan was to build an audience, get the book out there as much as I can, and then eventually put it on Amazon. But I also wanted to wait because there's so much stuff going on in the world right now. And like I said, I wanted to get my name out there so people can want more. And then
Mhm.
I wanted because basically I wanted to put everything on Amazon to have an international audience. Like I said, I grew up overseas, and I have frat brothers still in Japan, Okinawa, Korea, and different places. So once I get the chance to, I want to put it on Amazon because it's a global website, and I want to get the movement overseas.
So now right now, are you not shipping overseas?
So with the company I went through, it's kind of hard to ship overseas
Mhm.
because they're taxing. So it's like a
Okay.
whole different. It's very expensive to get the book overseas. So
Mhm.
what I've been doing for certain people, going to the mailbox, because I do work on base, so it's free, and just shipping the copies of the books that I do have. But I do want to, like I said, put it on Amazon so I can spread the message everywhere, anywhere, and everywhere.
David, I definitely thank you for being on the show, Authors to Know and Their Books to Read. Definitely thank you all as the viewers just for taking time to watch another episode. And we hope that you have a great remainder of the night. And we will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.